Everything I am is out west. I was hoping everything you are could be too. Come with me.
Every evening, as the sun bled gold across the dusty boardwalks of Silver Creek, the young seamstress named Lila Harper would lock her shop and begin the lonely 3-mile walk to her cabin on the outskirts of town. Her shoulders braced against the whispers that always followed her. A quiet, weathered cowboy with eyes the color of storm clouds had been working at the livery stable for a month, and he had noticed her passing by every day without ever saying a word to anyone, his gaze following her with a gentle, unreadable intensity. One evening, without introduction or permission, he fell into step beside her on the road, his warm boots crunching in rhythm with hers, and they walked together in complete silence until she reached her door, where he simply tipped his hat and turned away. The next evening, he was there again, leaning against the hitching post, and again he walked beside her, his presence strangely comforting, yet utterly wordless, as if speech would shatter some fragile spell that held the world together. The townsfolk soon began to whisper about the strange ritual, some mocking the cowboy as a lovesick fool, and others pitying Lila for the awkwardness of being escorted by a man who never spoke a single syllable, their gossip growing louder with each passing week. What no one in Silver Creek understood was that the cowboy's silence hid a profound secret, and when he finally broke it, his words would start a chain of events that would leave the whole town breathless and reevaluating everything they thought they knew about love. Lila herself was a woman carrying deep scars, having been abandoned by her family after a tragedy she could hardly speak of, and the silent walk somehow began to heal a wound she had thought would never close, the quiet presence beside her acting as a balm for her lonely soul. The cowboy, whose name was Caleb Stone, had lost his voice to sorrow years ago after witnessing a massacre that claimed his entire family, and he had not spoken to anyone since burying them on the prairie, choosing instead to let his actions speak where words had failed him. After weeks of silent walks, as autumn leaves swirled in the evening chill, Lila finally turned to him and asked, her voice trembling, why he kept walking her home without ever uttering a word. And for a long moment, he simply stared at the horizon as if gathering the strength to break his long silence. Then, with a voice rough as gravel from disuse, Caleb told her that he had been watching over her because she reminded him of someone he had failed to protect, and that walking her home was his penance and his peace, a way of restoring a sense of purpose to his shattered existence. Lila felt tears prick her eyes as she listened, and in that moment, the silence they had shared transformed into a bond stronger than any words could have forged, because she understood the language of grief that needed no translation and recognized a kindred spirit who had also endured unimaginable loss. From that day forward, Caleb began to speak in halting sentences, telling her about his homestead in a distant valley, about the wild horses he had tamed, and about the dream he had buried long ago of building a life with someone who could see past his scars. One evening, as they stood at her gate with the stars just beginning to peek through the velvet sky, Caleb removed his hat, held it to his chest, and asked Lila if she would take the road west with him, not as a passenger, but as his partner, his equal, his wife. Lila stood speechless for a long moment, her heart pounding against her ribs like a wild bird. And then she smiled through her tears and told him that she had been waiting for someone to ask her that question her entire life, and that the answer was yes, without a single reservation. When the news spread that the silent cowboy and the lonely seamstress were leaving together, the same people who had mocked them now gathered to wish them well, their gossip replaced by a grudging admiration for the quiet love that had bloomed in the most unexpected of places. They set out at dawn with a covered wagon and 2 sturdy horses, and as the town faded behind them, Lila felt for the first time that she was not running from something, but moving toward a home she had never known she deserved, a future filled with hope rather than regret. The valley Caleb had described was even more beautiful than she had imagined, with a clear stream, towering pines, and a small cabin he had built with his own hands, waiting for a reason to fill it with laughter and the warmth of shared meals. Together, they expanded the homestead, planting a garden, raising a few cattle, and in the evenings, they would sit on the porch and talk for hours, making up for all the weeks of silence with a wealth of shared stories and dreams that wove their lives inextricably together. They were married beneath a giant oak tree in the valley, with only a traveling preacher and a pair of curious deer as witnesses. And Lila wore a crown of wildflowers that Caleb had woven for her that morning, with hands that had once known only violence and grief. Word of their happiness spread, and soon other settlers arrived in the valley, drawn by the reputation of the kind couple who had built a paradise out of solitude and silence. And a small community began to grow around their homestead, full of mutual support and genuine fellowship. Caleb, who had once been a ghost of a man, found his voice fully restored as he became a leader and a friend to his neighbors. And he often told them that love had been the medicine that healed his broken spirit, and that walking beside someone was the most powerful form of devotion. Lila, meanwhile, discovered a strength she had never known she possessed, and she became known as the heart of the valley, tending to the sick, teaching the children, and welcoming every stranger with open arms, her own scars now transformed into sources of deep empathy. Years later, they would still sometimes walk the perimeter of their land in the evening, hand in hand, and occasionally they would fall into a comfortable silence, remembering the early days when words were unnecessary and their footsteps had been their only conversation. The story of how a silent cowboy won the heart of a wounded seamstress by simply walking beside her became a cherished legend, passed down to generations of settlers who learned that true love often speaks loudest in the quiet, ordinary moments of unwavering presence. One day, a reporter from a city newspaper traveled to the valley to interview the legendary couple, and he asked them what secret they could share about building a lasting love, and Lila smiled and said, "Listen more than you talk, and never underestimate the power of simply showing up." Caleb added, in his still rough voice, that the road west had been long and hard, but every step had been worth it because he had found the woman who saw past his scars and loved the man he was becoming, not the man he had been. As the reporter rode away, he glanced back at the cabin with the curling chimney smoke and realized that he had witnessed something rare, a love story that was not about grand gestures, but about faithful, daily presence that transformed two broken souls into a beacon of hope for all who met them. If this story of quiet devotion and the healing power of simply showing up has touched your heart, then you already understand the mission we embrace here at Western Tailies Official, where we believe that the old frontier still has lessons to teach us all. We pour countless hours into researching and crafting these authentic frontier narratives, and seeing them resonate with a worldwide audience is what keeps our team inspired every single day to unearth more hidden gems of courage and compassion. Now, we would be genuinely grateful if you would hit that like button, subscribe with the notification bell, and leave a comment sharing a moment when someone's silent presence made all the difference in your life, because your stories enrich our community beyond measure. Your engagement not only encourages us, but also helps these timeless stories reach others who might be searching for a spark of hope in their own journeys. So please share this video with a friend who believes in second chances and the power of patient love. We read every single comment with deep appreciation, and your personal reflections often become the seeds for our next great tale. So don't be shy about sharing your heart with this family of Western story lovers from every corner of the globe. Remember that sometimes the most profound journeys begin not with a shout, but with a quiet step beside someone who cares enough to walk the long road home, and that love is always worth the wait, no matter how silent the path may be. Thank you for being part of the Western Tailies family, and until next time, keep your boots dusty and your heart open to the unexpected blessings of the trail, because you never know when a quiet stranger might become the answer to a prayer you never spoke aloud.